Hi guys, today we have with us Director of IBS Mumbai. So Preeti ma'am, Dr. Preeti ma'am, thank you very much coming and talking to us. And I want you to today come to our side of the table rather than being a panelist or the head of the college. So please help us, guide us. So we want to understand your perspective, or we are coming towards your side and understanding about the interviews, how to crack interviews. So ma'am, my first question is, the first impression is the last impression. Is that statement holds true?
See, the moment a student has appeared for an interview, that itself is one big indication that the student is serious about pursuing his higher studies. Now, in that, what kind of scores that he can get based on his preparation is what matters. So, I wouldn't say that, that's the last impression, but definitely the student can make an impression which can get him the best of the scores, and maybe with that he can qualify for the best of the campuses of IBS.
Right. So of course, now one thing is clear: it's the first impression, but not the last impression.
Yes.
So how much percentage, like if the interview is 100%, how much percentage weightage you will give? There's no number obviously to it, but subconsciously, how much percentage importance is that? 30%, 20%? In your mind, in general?
No, so it is equal as far as the selection process is concerned. If you look at how we arrive to the composite score of the student, 50% is of course the weightage that is given to the 10th, 12th and the graduation marks, and the balance 50% is kept for the PI and GD. So it is equal in terms of GD as well as PI. So you do well in GD as well as PI, your composite score is going to go up.
Correct. So if you do bad in the interview, doesn't matter. So that's if the weightage is, so if I say
equal.
That
it is equal.
Correct. Otherwise, if I say interview is the do or die, then the student is gone, because he's scared also, more scared कि अरे नहीं हुआ तो क्या होगा.
Yes.
So don't worry, so that would be.
Correct.
So ma'am, in the interview, do panelists have the scores? Do the panelists have my exam scores with them?
They do, yes, because when you go there, you are going with your application form. So you have already filled in the details of your 10th, 12th and graduation. So it is there in front of them. But when the panelist is only assessing you out of those 25 marks, for which there is a very well defined score sheet which is presented to them. So they will only fill in those scores. They will not look at anything else. They will only look at those scores which are related to your personal interview or to your group discussion.
Right. So when the person comes for the interview, I've been a panelist of almost now 15 colleges. So I go there, that's part of my hobby kind of thing too. And when the introduction, a lot of times the damage is done, but the make or break thing happened during the introduction only. Break doesn't happen. We always give a chance to them. Maybe he is unable to communicate better, but yeah, he might be having good substance. Let's wait for that. But if the person is good, his introduction is that's where I decide yes.
Yes. Yeah, so naturally the most common opening question is, tell me something about yourself. Now there people try to be over creative, they try to dramatize the whole thing. My message to the aspirants is that be natural, be yourself and be as simple as possible. There is no point being creative and trying to as I said, no point dramatizing the whole thing by trying to over articulate your voice or modulate your voice. It's better that you give your facts, give your name, give your educational background, and why are you there. So even if you have spoken that much, I think you are already there inside, in terms of what the panel wants to know about you. And there my message is be simple. Most of the times it so happens, see, the students come from a lot of coaching classes, and in the coaching classes they are coached in a particular way. Now chances are that too many students from the same coaching classes come back to back. So they all have the same style. And that is where we will say that, can you be a little different? But there is a difference between being different and being over creative. So just be slightly different. And I think the moment you say your name in a very simple manner, that itself becomes a differentiator.
Correct. So especially when you come to this introduction, they start with the quotation. Like the trees are deep, I'm also deep. I get a cringe feeling. Yaar, mat kare, mat
Not
kare.
required. Not required.
It's a normal interview. It's like fake,
Yes,
like very much
yes.
made up.
That is what I mean by don't dramatize it.
Correct,
Don't dramatize it.
And when you say that coaching class, yes, obviously we have to help them prepare. But my always agenda is ke, make it sound very natural. Don't make it
Yes.
sound like a yaad karke aaya hai.
Yes, yes.
Point number 1, point number 2, point number 3. Then you're gone.
True.
So it will be more natural about all these
Yeah.
things. Okay, so what about the dressing sense? How much important is the dressing sense?
See, we would always prefer that the students come formally dressed. And when we are saying formally dressed, a blazer is definitely welcome. In case, in somebody does not possess a blazer, but the student has to be in formal shirts with tie. So we would definitely expect that you at least come in formal shirt and trouser along with a tie, and I think that makes it more complete. In case you have a blazer, nothing like it.
Ma'am, if you look at the typical suits is अंग्रेजों के ज़माने का स्टाइल जो बोलते हैं normally, is a light color shirt and a dark color trouser. That's a typical official trend of the formal dressing.
Right.
So, but is it okay if I break that norm and wear a dark shirt and dark trouser, or I should rather stick to that, be normal rather than be creative?
So the preferred one is always, a light shirt with a dark trouser. And of course, I want to say that, the students have to be very particular about the kind of shoes that they wear. Some of them will come with sneakers, though they're wearing blazers, but they're wearing sneakers because that's more comfortable. So that's another thing that we would want, that, they be particular. The girls must avoid those very high heels, which make a lot of noise, and, as it is, they are so anxious, and then, managing those high heels and all, it certainly trips them. They have to manage that, or they have to manage their responses to the panel.
Correct. Unless you wait every day, 24 hours, and you practice.
Yes.
So when it comes to the girls, what kind of a dressing sense? Because the lines are very blurred when it comes to girls. Like some say kurti is also fine, kurti also with leggings. Otherwise, some pay the western one-piece skirt is good. Right. Sari is in. So what is?
We are fine with Indian formals. So in Indian formals, even if they are comfortable wearing a sari, fine, they can be, but they should not feel that it's over dressy. So I would always say that to avoid being over dressy, avoid wearing a sari. But if you are fine and comfortable, there are girls students who come very nicely, neatly dressed in a sari, and they can carry it off very well. Indian formals, welcome. They can always wear a salwar kameez. We would prefer that they avoid sleeveless attires, and if they can top it up with and coordinate it with a nice dupatta or a scarf. Otherwise, if all these things are difficult, then business formals is something which is acceptable.
And within business formal, can be trouser and shirt, or with the blazer?
No, we would prefer trouser and shirt rather than skirts.
But one piece and long skirt, the typical.
It's always better that you.
Trousers better.
Yeah.
Kurti, legging and kurti
allowed
is also okay.
Yes.
यही प्रॉब्लम है, गर्ल्स के इतने ऑप्शन है, बॉयज के पास वहाँ पर आके पैंट शर्ट भी आते हैं हमारे पास. And that's one thing I always envy ladies for, that there's so much variety you have to wear. The men are going back to only same things.
Yes.
That's one thing. Yeah. So interviews, most of the time, if I talk about myself, I'm always stressed out with the interview. Suddenly I don't know why, when I wear a tie and when this button is on, and then I'm gone, kind of thing. So what advice you like to give? Is it, you can feel it, right? The student they're nervous or not nervous.
Yes.
So being nervous, is it normal, or is it you feel that he's underconfident? How panelists will take me?
No, I think every one of us is nervous. मुझे वो शाहरुख खान का ऐड याद आता है, गला सबका सूखता है, हर किसी को डर लगता है. So it's a very natural human reflex, to be scared and to be fearful of something. But when it crosses, that nervousness crosses over where the student starts getting those anxiety attacks, which today so much the students talk about anxiety. I think some bit of nervousness was always encouraged because it made you excel. and you were your best, you were always alert, that nervousness kept you alert, and you always came out with, you ensured that no error creeps in. You were so alert to the requirement of the time, for which you. So my suggestion is that there is nothing to be so fearful that it shows on your face. You can be, and everybody knows, and it is very normal to be a little scared of what the outcome is going to be. But as I keep saying, that why are you focusing so much on the outcome? Can you take care of the process? If you will take care of the process, outcome is obviously going to be good. So if you following the process, you are there in time, you filled up the form. And another thing is, most of the students who panic are the ones who reach there late, and then they want an entry, and then they feel I've lost my chance, I've lost my this. So my message is that you reach there at least half an hour before time. Whatever time is given to you, can you reach half an hour before that, 15 minutes before that? Because there is, there is a long process of filling up the form, attaching documents, then there is document verification. There's a full procedure that takes place over there.
Plus, you're getting time to absorb the environment as well.
Right.
You're in a new place, new environment, time to settle down kind of.
Yes. So I always feel that nothing to fear. You are only worried about what is going to be the final result of it. Am I in or am I out? Rather than being so anxious about the final outcome, just manage the process well.
प्रॉब्लम पता कहाँ पे आता है? व्हाट आई फील इज दैट मेरे करियर का सवाल है, अगर ये क्रैक नहीं हुआ मेरा 1 साल बर्बाद हो जाएगा. ये दिस इज वेयर द फियर स्टार्ट क्रीपिंग इनटू स्टूडेंट्स,
which I think is more of self-created, self-created belief, which is not true. It's not true. बहुत सी बात क्या होगा, you may not get a campus of your choice. You may get some other campus. So it's not that your education is coming to an end, but you may get some other campus and you will still be able to do your 2 years of management education. So I don't think so one has to be so worried कि मेरा साल खराब हो जाएगा.
Correct. Ma'am, student is nervous anyways because obviously इसके करियर सवाल है. But sometimes there are some panelists who make student more uncomfortable. So I personally believe this is wrong on few of the panelists. Stress interviews is a different thing. But if you're making students uncomfortable, because being a panelist myself, we have been trained to be soft towards students because we want them to be performing best.
Right.
So rather me creating more hurdles into his life and he's even not able to talk that much. So these kind of stress interviews. So if I am facing a stress interview, suppose you are taking my stress interview, does it mean I am dead? I'm not going to get selected, or is just a way of you testing me out or how worse I can perform when the things go rough?
Yeah.
Why this stress interview?
Before answering to this question, I want to tell you that at IBS there is a very clear mandate. One, that all the panelists are told very clearly that they need to first make the candidate comfortable. As soon as the candidate comes into the room, the first thing that they are supposed to do is make the candidate comfortable. So they are not going to subject him to any stress interview. They are not going to ask him questions which are going to make him feel uncomfortable, or he is going to be finding it very difficult to answer. Very clear mandate about what questions to be asked and what is to be avoided. So this is something that I can assure you on behalf of the IBS system, because I've been a part of it for years, and every year this is the briefing given to all the panelists, that the first thing is they have to do is they have to make the candidate comfortable. And second, not to ask questions which can make the the candidate uncomfortable, or the candidate starts feeling anxious, or the candidate starts feeling into some kind of a stress. Now coming to that now where there is a stress interview, it is being done intentional especially jobs which are very high pressure jobs. There they want to see the the resilience and the kind of coping mechanisms of a person, whether the person will be able to cope, whether the person will be able to face an irate customer, so there they may want to do some bit of testing, but that also doesn't mean that that's the end. If you don't clear that, that's the end of this thing. They'll put you in some other role.
Yeah. I don't want to name the colleges. There are few colleges which make it like a roadies ka show. They put so much pressure, but then again depend on the panelists. Yeah. Some panelists are so immature that they actually put stress on the students. And some panelists, they make it, they know when to tone it up, when to tone it down. That's how it should be, how the good panelist should be.
Yes, yes. So the students can come to IBS for their admission process without any fear of how the panelist is going to be treating the person, whether they'll have to go through some kind of stress or they will be tested for what they don't know. Rather, the entire interview is focusing on knowing what you know.
Correct. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for giving all the insights, because these are questions everybody's mind going on for so much time. They need to answer all these things.
No, I think it's a very 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 comforting process, and students who come there definitely go back with that, that I want to be in this system, because the system is very friendly, very caring. So and that they can feel at every step of the admission process, right from the time they have filled in the form, and then they are attached to a counselor, and then the kind of processes and the preparations that go into it. So it's a very very friendly, caring system, and they need not worry at all.
And especially IBS, if I take your example, so you are so much caring that you are even taking care of कि तुमने ticket book करवाया कि नहीं करवाया अभी तक. So that level of caring is done, so that student feel comfortable.
True.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome.